about art influencing life. What if the most powerful leadership lessons didn't come from a boardroom? What if powerful leadership lessons came from ding, 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 a fictional football coach with a heck of a mustache and a box of biscuits? Today, we're uncovering how Ted Lasso, a fictional character on TV, became an unexpected blueprint for modern leadership, and why you might be more like one of the characters in the show than you think.
You are watching Influence Media, PSI TV, the Netflix of biz brands.
Today we have the authors of Lead It Like Lasso, Dr. Marnie Stockman and Nick Coniglio. They turned this TV-inspired leadership into a real multi-million-dollar business. And what can you borrow from their playbook right now to grow your own success story? Dr. Marnie Stockman and Nick Coniglio, thank you for being my guest today.
Oh, thanks for having us.
Oh, we're happy to be here.
Fantastic. You know, your book is highly influenced by the dramedy TV show Ted Lasso. For those of you who are not sure, a dramedy is a comedy drama. It's a heartwarming comedy drama about an optimistic American football coach who's hired to lead a struggling English soccer team. And during that scenario of shows, he's winning hearts, transforming lives with kindness, curiosity, and an unshakable belief. And that is a spirit, equal parts leadership and heart, that is captured in the very powerful book, Lead It Like Lasso. So today we're going to meet the authors and dive into how lessons from a fictional coach can become real world strategies for leading ourselves, our teams, and our lives better. So let's jump in. I have a bunch of questions for you guys. I'm going to let you guys decide who answers what. Dr. Marnie Stockman, she began her leadership journey in the high school math classroom and went on to co-found and lead a successful software company. After a multi-million-dollar exit, she co-authored Lead It Like Lasso to make leadership more human, joyful, and binge-worthy. Nick Coniglio is a tech-savvy entrepreneur with 4 successful exits, including co-founding Lifecycle Insights and taking it from idea to acquisition in just 3 years. Known for bridging the gap between business and tech with clarity and humility, he now channels decades of leadership into new ventures and still holds out for hope for his golf game and the New York Jets.
Yeah.
What is that background of that name? Italian?
It's Italian heritage, yeah. It actually means rabbit in Italian.
Now, let me ask you first of all, have you sent copies of Lead It Like Lasso to the Ted Lasso TV team?
Oh my goodness, we sure have. We've sent personalized copies to several of the cast members, and including some of the producers. We've actually had one of the producers on one of our podcasts where we talk about the leadership lessons from Ted Lasso. Now, we don't really know if they've opened the book and read them, but we sure are grateful for the world they created. It gave us powerful language and a metaphor to reframe leadership in an approachable and an inspiring way.
Okay. So the book's title, Lead It Like Lasso, is catchy, and it is tied to the Ted Lasso show. But for those of, well, I have watched now because you insisted, right? It's in your book. You literally insist. But for those who may not have watched Ted Lasso, is this leadership book still something they can benefit from?
So I'll say absolutely. But first, I'll say there are 2 types of people in the world: people who love Ted Lasso and people who just haven't seen it yet. So we highly recommend it. We're not associated with Apple, but we send a lot of people their way because we love the show. But the stories from Ted Lasso are just really a starting point, not the whole story, right? We use Ted Lasso as a metaphor, but we use leadership lessons drawn from real life business experience, research, and our own journey as founders and leaders. So if you've never seen the show, you're still going to walk away with clear, practical frameworks, etc. So it's not a fan book; it's a field book on personal leadership.
I'm glad you said that. It's not a fan book; it's a real leadership book. So fantastic. So you guys have poured your hearts and expertise into Lead It Like Lasso. Who did you write this book for, and who would benefit the most from it?
It's funny, Trudy. I think if you asked us both, we originally wrote the book for our respective kids. We're not married. We're business partners, but we each have a family. Really hoping that they might take advice if it came with a barcode, right? Because they don't take our advice any other way. But really, I think the book is for anyone who's feeling stuck. The feedback that we get from our readers is just how relatable and actionable our book is, and how we make them think about leadership in a different way. So if you ever thought, I'm not a leader, our book really aims to prove you wrong, hopefully in the best kind of way.
So I think it was Marnie who said in something I saw somewhere, I think it was Marnie, you said leadership is life, not just for CEOs. What does that mean in everyday moments for the average person?
So it means leadership shows up in how you talk to your kids, how you handle conflict at work, how you show up when nobody's watching, right? It's not just about making big decisions. It's about those small micro moments. Are you a good listener? Do you own your mistakes? Do you inspire others to be better? So that's leadership. And it's available to everyone every day. It's not just leadership doesn't happen in a boardroom. It happens in a locker room, in a classroom, and in living rooms.
So you had several rules in the book. I was falling over myself over rule number 2. And rule number 2, guys, is don't be a seagull. Don't be a seagull. Okay, it's a sharp critique of lousy leadership habits. That was my take on it. What warning signs should someone watch for to know if they have a seagull in their organization?
Well, first, we appreciate that because Marnie and I love rules. But that there's a seagull around when someone only shows up to yell, criticize, and then just fly away, leaving that mess behind. Seagull leaders, they don't coach, they correct. They don't invest, they inspect. So if people flinch when a certain leader walks in, or feedback always feels like an ambush, chances are you're dealing with a seagull. And the counterexample of that, great leadership, it's consistent, it's present, and it's supportive, even in the toughest of moments. So don't be a seagull.
Okay, so now Marnie and I have been chatting. She sent me some stuff. So somewhere in all of that, she said the real challenge isn't getting a leadership role. There might be a challenge there, but anyway, the real challenge isn't getting a leadership role. It's owning your identity as a leader in your everyday. Owning your identity as a leader in your everyday. So Brett Goldstein, who's one of the writers and ended up being a character, he ended up being the character of Roy.
Into writing it, and I started to think, I think I'm Roy.
Would you say that the characters in the show Ted Lasso represent various leadership identities? Now, I know this may be 2 questions in one, so forgive me, but speak to the concept of this leadership identity.
Yeah, so first, there are studies out that show that self-awareness is the number 1 indicator of leadership success. So you need to know who you are. So that's where the identity piece comes in. And even though we titled the book Lead It Like Lasso, it's not like there's one leadership persona. There are lots of different leadership styles based on strengths, weaknesses, etc. And the show really highlighted that. And so we built a character assessment around some of the strong leadership characteristics. So Ted was the optimistic achiever, right? The positivity guru. And Rebecca was what was she? The strategic, she was the
visionary transformer.
Roy was the tough love mentor. Keeley was the supportive collaborator, and Sam was the optimistic achiever. So really, if you dive in and learn about yourself and your strengths, you can figure out ways to use your strengths and build on your weaknesses. And then the key part, partner up with somebody that fills in the gaps of what's missing from your leadership powers.
Oh, wow. So I like that. Identifying the identity, recognizing the gaps, and then partnering up with others who would fill you out as to give good leadership all around. I really do like that. So guys, if someone's ever struggled with confidence, clarity, or heart, this book, my estimation, maybe the nudge I've been waiting for. So before we wrap up, guys, I just want to say we're going to show you exactly where to grab a copy and how to use it to level up your team, your goals, and your family. But is there anything else you guys would like to share?
As we talk about Lead It Like Lasso with folks everywhere, right? We find ourselves talking with folks who feel stuck. They're looking for better jobs or trying to figure out what their best version of themselves might be.
You say that, Marnie, because right now, I mean, America's kind of in a tizzy because so many have been laid off with this federal, change and so forth. In fact, I just spoke with a gentleman yesterday. He was laid off just 2 weeks now, and he's in his 50s plus, so it gets more challenging. So there is, I agree, in a market for what you just said. So that's amazing.
Ted Lasso said we're all a work in progress. So our newsletter is called Work in Progress, and it's our step in helping with life or career advice in a really relatable and hopefully entertaining way. And this is where we're actually going to be announcing what we're doing next, which is we have a book coming out in the fall called The Business of You, and then we have a companion app that will follow that as well.
Business of You. I remember which celebrity said he is the business.
And I am the business.
Lead It Like Lasso, and watch the show Ted Lasso. It is a funny dramedy, and it's going to really lift the examples in the book. You're going to relate to them a whole lot better. But like Marnie says, it is still a solid leadership book on its own. And I would know. I just graduated with my doctorate in strategic leadership. So I thought the book was spot on. To connect with the Lead It Like Lasso team or to get your copy of the book, visit leaditlikelasso.com, and that will be in the credits for you so you don't make any spelling errors. Dr. Marnie Stockman and Nick Coniglio, thank you so much for being my guest today.
Oh, thanks for having
Thanks for having us, Trudy. We appreciate you.